Welcome to Angier Hope, where we're showing people the way to a life with a brighter tomorrow. We're glad to have you with us as we have our topic today, which is going to be the love of money. You know, the Bible tells us that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evils and problems. And today we're just going to talk about what we see in the world around us and why this love for money is such a big problem. Thomas, you want to sort of introduce yourself and talk about this issue we got here?
Absolutely. I'm Thomas Allen. I'm pastor at Angier Baptist. And I think it's such an important thing to think about. The love of money can lead us down so many difficult paths. One of the things that I think about, or one of the things I read this week was actually this quote that said, attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity that we have. And I think that's a really important thing. What we pay attention to is where we give our generosity. What we pay attention to, what we love, becomes what we worship.
Yes.
And when we are paying attention to money and the love of money and loving to see money in my account and loving to see what money can do for me, all of these things, well, it leads me down a very dangerous path. Because once again what I pay attention to, what I love, that's what I worship. And if I'm worshiping this money, we all know money comes and money goes. And if my love and my attention and my worship is tied up in that, then I lose track of what's really important in my life. And it goes all the way back, Mark, all the way back to Genesis chapter 3 in the Garden of Eden. It's so funny because that first sin, where the serpent is talking to Eve there in the garden, and at first, he said, well, can you do anything you want? And she says, well, yeah, we can. We can eat from any tree except that one. And he says, well, why is that? Well, because if we eat of that, it will die. But listen to what the serpent says there. No, you will not die, the serpent said to the woman. In fact, God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be open, and this is the phrase that always gets me. You will be like God. You will be like God. And that's that pride, that desire to be able to do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it. I don't have to follow anybody else's rules. I don't have to be anybody else. I can be my own person. I can be my own God. And I think that's a huge part of this love of money. When I have that big enough bank account, I don't have to worry about God.
Yeah, but then the question is, like Rockefeller was asked one time, how much money will be enough? And he said, just $1 more. Because if money is your God, you will never have enough. What do you think about that, Rick?
So it's interesting that you went to that Genesis 3 text, that if we could just be our own God, right? Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that, number one, we're not, clearly.
Right.
So to state the obvious. The other thing is, the danger of it is a false sense of self-dependence, right? So the love of money, what it does for us, it gives us a false sense of who we are. So if I have enough money, our heart will lie to us. If I have enough money, I don't need God, right? I'm self-dependent, self-sufficient. I have enough money to go to the doctor, for instance. Like I've traveled to Haiti several times. And one thing that's interesting there, the last trip that I took a few years ago, it says a local in the country said, Haitians have more faith than Christian in the United States. And I asked them why. Well, the reason why is that when you in America get sick, you go to your medicine counter. When we're in Haiti get sick, we pray. Right, and so, but here we have money, so we have health care, and we have medicines, and we have this and that and the other. So there's a sense of autonomy and self-reliance. Look at what the almighty dollar can do for me. Mm-hmm. And they're in Haiti because they don't have the money and those benefits. They just pray. So they know that they're not God, and so therefore they have to rely on God 100%. The other side of the kind of love of money and the lie, the falsehood that it does for us, is that it ends up owning us. So we don't own money, we don't own stuff, it ends up owning us, which is why Jesus said very specifically in Matthew 6, no one can serve two masters. Mm-hmm. So either we serve a good, loving, gracious, generous God who doesn't withhold anything good from us, either we serve him, and to serve God means to just be in a relationship with him and follow him and let him guide us, right? Like,
Right.
that's what it means to serve God. And then it's either that or we serve money, which is a ruthless tyrant. He, if money were a he, right, he never pays off.
No.
He only disappoints us. He only fails us. So, as I always like to say, everything on earth, money and the stuff it buys, either breaks, burns, crashes, corrodes, dies, decays, decomposes, expires, erodes, fades, fails, gets stolen, gets eaten by moths, wears out, wears down, gets tired, or gets old. Everything here. So everything on earth and this money and the stuff we think it buys us leaves us wanting. But I could turn a love for that and turn it toward a love for God who never dies, never fades, never fails, gives me everything I need. He's a good father. And so the love of money, why it's such an evil is that it turns us away from the God who knows what's good for us.
I think it's such a good point there, Rick, too, because when you think about the fact that God is so good, he is so big, and he's always there for us. And when we take our eyes off of that goodness that God is, when we lose sight of that because of money and the flashy things, God is the only thing, the only person, the only being, the only thing in this world that will never, ever disappoint you.
That's right.
Right.
That's it. That's the end of the whole category. God is the only thing that will never let you down. And there in Matthew 6 later on it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you." Those other things will take care of themselves. Money, yes, we need money to live. Yes, we need a job. Yes, we need resources.
Right.
But when you seek first God and his generosity and his kingdom and his righteousness, everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah. I've never met a person who sought after God and later regretted it. I don't know of a single person, right, that's ever like, you know what, I'm going to just love God and follow him and put him first, as opposed to things of the world and money stuff, right? I've never come across that person, and I've met a few in my day who said, you know what, I'm 80 years old and I devoted my life to serving God and loving him and following him. I regret it. I wish I would have gone the other way. Do you know how many people I've talked to on the opposite side?
Right.
Of people that I've spent my life following the things of the world, pursuing these things. What a waste.
Yes, that's right.
It's always like that. It's a reason why, I forget what the statistic is. So many CEOs, they get to the end of their career, end of their life, and like, if you could change anything, it's like research that's been done. If you could change it, what would it be? I wouldn't do it because I wish I would spend more time with my family.
That's right. I've heard that person.
You know, like
Yes.
the pursuit of these things, it's a mirage. It lies to us. If I could just build a kingdom here on earth with my own vault,
That's
or,
right.
you know, if we want to go a little bit like Lords of the Ring, or if you like the Hobbit kind of a thing, like in the Hobbit, you got Oakenshield, you know, Thorin Oakenshield. He's the king, right? And he gets to the mountain, right? They get
Gets
rid of
all
the
that
dragon.
money. Yeah.
And he goes insane because of his love of the treasure in the mountain, right? That J.R. Tolkien, who wrote it, knew of the corrosion that the love of money has upon the hearts. To stay with Lord of the Rings, you got Gollum. You know, the ring, it became his precious, and it destroyed him.
That's right.
Right? It disfigured him. So the character in the story is made to look on the outside the way his love of money made him on the inside.
So I guess the news, first of all, if you're watching this video, make sure you get the videos for the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, so that
right.
you can know what we're talking about here. But
That's great.
But let's talk about the guy that is just chasing that almighty dollar. What advice would you give him, Thomas?
Stop and think. Realize what your attention is going to. Write down on a piece of paper. Guys, girls, women, write down on a piece of paper what are the biggest treasures in your life. What is it that you want to make sure that you do not sacrifice? What is it that you need to hold on to? Your relationship with God, how important is it? What are the things that are going to guide you step by step? And how many of those can you buy?
That's right.
I mean, if that's your treasure, if your treasure is only things that you can buy, the moth, all of it, it's all going to go away. Just like you said, Rick, nothing is going to last. And if you're putting your treasure in that, but Jesus says, put your treasure in things above.
That's what I remind my congregation all the time, that treasured car that you're driving around, one day it's going to be your Coke can. It's going to get recycled and become a can probably. So the things of this world are very fleeting, and they don't last. And if you chase the almighty dollar, if you let that become your God, you'll never have enough. You'll never be satisfied. And at the end of your life, no matter how much money you have, you cannot buy another day. No. So I think this has been a very good discussion, and I hope that those of you who are watching this would understand, man, money will never fill the space that only God can fill. And the only thing that can fill it is relationship with God made possible through Jesus Christ. And if you're looking for hope, that is the source of hope for all people. And once you have Jesus, you'll finally find what's been missing in your life. That thing that you were trying to fill with money, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, can only be filled by Jesus. And it is our hope that you will know that hope. For myself and Brother Rick and Brother Thomas, we just hope that this might help some of you guys. And just thank you guys for watching this video.